Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Locutts. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page and today's card draw. Yeah, got to fix something here. Let's see if that'll work. Okay. The table I'm working at sometimes has a little bit, it's got actually a little bit of a dip in it, and somehow I just can't get this, my laptop even level. So, good morning. Good Saturday morning. We have a hot, humid morning here in Tomah, Wisconsin. You know, I live about an hour from the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi, and in the northwestern part of Wisconsin. And many people, like I said yesterday, don't realize that Wisconsin, we can get kind of humid here, and it is certainly this morning. In fact, last night I was going to close up the Four Seasons, and because we was supposed to get a little rain, right? And so I didn't want to have to go flying downstairs to shut windows in the middle of the night. And so anyway, I walked out there, and it was still really heavy, humid, and so I ended up not closing windows out there until almost midnight. And yeah, so it's it's hot, but it's good too, because I don't like 30 below. I don't. Good morning, Mato. I'm so glad you're here with me this morning. Good Saturday morning. So this morning, the card draw, maybe I should explain just a little bit, because we keep getting new people added on and listening to the recorded video as well. The cards that I'm using is by Jamie Sams, and it's the Sacred Path cards. And we've been using this deck since early May for the card draws. I've had this deck for several years, many years, let's see, mid-2000s maybe, and used them a lot in drum making workshops, to get the sense of the medicine, or the medicine of the drum was going to hold. And then last week I started adding Jamie's other deck, which is the medicine cards. And these cards have to do with the spirit or the medicine of our relatives, the four-legged, those who swim, crawl, fly. Yeah. So these cards actually go hand in hand with the other deck. You can use them together to enhance it. And Mary S., thank you for being here. She just joined. Say, Mary, I read your information that you shared about the full moon that we had on Wednesday, the strawberry moon. That was pretty good. I like that information. And it gets posted from different perspectives, and I think that is the fun thing about having a spiritual community, is that we get to learn about something that we may think we know about, and then we see it or hear it from another perspective, another direction. It's like, oh man, I didn't know about that. Yeah. So thank you for posting that. That was really informative, helpful. Yeah, strawberry moon. When we first moved up here, we used to live down in Madison, closer in Wisconsin, closer to Madison, which is in the south central part of the state, and so the growing season is just slightly different, right, up here. And we were used to having strawberries like the first week or two of June, and up here, not until like middle to the third weekend of June are they ready. And so we're kind of right in the prime right now for strawberries here. Yeah. So Mary's saying, glad to do it, and good morning. Thank you, Mary. And Julie. Yeah, Julie, you must be posting from your phone, huh? Yeah, I have the same thing. When I post from my phone and sometimes from my iPad, is when we're posting, it grabs onto, I don't know, because it looks like Julie is posting from me, which is Star Nations Radio Network, the fan page here, right? Because Julie has the ability to be able to post her live streams that she does on Monday. She calls them Monday Meta. And so I don't know, your phone must grab onto it and hold onto it, because mine does the same thing. So I'm glad, thank you for putting your name in there, because then everybody knows that it's not me sending it, right? She says, I'm listening while putting laundry away. May not be posting much. Okay, good. Good morning, Elise. Again, Lisa and I already had a discussion already. And Mary's with us too, Mary Friday. And that must mean that Mary Ann's with us too, hey? Hi, good morning, Mary Ann. It's good to have you in the house too. So we got a card today that we had early in May, the giveaway ceremony. It's about releasing. And this is the artwork that the little girl, and having the colors of the medicine wheel on her dress. It's one of the images that I like the best of these cards is this little girl. And I don't know if you can see her moccasins. They're kind of like a boot, right? When I was a kid, and my family, we performed a lot. We danced Native American dance. I was a competition powwow dancer. My first job, I think I was 5 years old or 6. I was in a place called Indian Village in Wisconsin Dells. And we were part of the dance troupe that was there. And yeah, one of my favorite dresses was a buckskin dress. It was white, and it had, my mom made it for me. And the moccasins they were boot-like. And that was my favorite outfit. And I outgrew it. But it was one of my favorite outfits. And so the moccasins on here remind me of that outfit that I had. I also had a red dress too when I was much older, performing at Stand Rock Indian Ceremonial, dancing there professionally. My mom made me a red dress. It's kind of similar, not quite, but kind of similar to that. It was a cotton dress, so on really hot nights, rather than wearing, something heavy like the buckskin, we would wear the cotton dresses because it was hot dancing. So let's see. And Allie's with us too. Good morning, Allie. So glad you're here with us. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Julie. Liking and sharing. Elise is going to laugh at this. This non-show, Neshi's non-show, really has been about word of mouth, right? Because I haven't been advertising the show at all. No promotions for it. It's not really a show. It's a non-show. I thought you guys would just like to have the background, the backstory of the card draw that I would do every morning anyway, and post it, a quote from it on our Instagram account, right? And then it kind of also morphed into kind of an experiment of sorts of using native live stream, not just because I am a native. Wait, I got the t-shirt on. Native roots. Not just because I am a native. It's Facebook calls it native live stream. And that means that you're not using a third-party application to run it. And so this kind of merged into an experiment of sorts, looking at how does the native live stream really work compared to using the app that we do with Be Live, our partners at Be Live. And I have to tell you, I do like the app, Be Live TV app, because we can have another person on with us, more than one actually. We can have up to 3 people on with us at a time. We can show pictures. It's gotten to the point where, and I haven't tried this yet, but we can actually show a video now because they keep improving the application, right? And so I enjoy using that app for my shows. But for this one, it's a little odd because I can't show your comments. In the Be Live app, I can bring your comments up and everybody can see them, right? Yeah. So thank you for liking and sharing. I appreciate that. And Lisa is saying, how's your mom doing? She's doing good. It is that the extreme weather is kind of what plays a havoc with the physical body. When it's really, really cold and damp out, she has arthritis really bad. And so it affects her body. when it's really hot and humid like this, it affects her body. So we spend time dealing with pain management, and not necessarily through prescribed medicine, because she does have that, but she doesn't like taking it, and it's a really low dose, and so we're using oils and other methods, hands-on and that kind of thing. So mornings, that's why mornings sometimes is a little. Sometimes it takes me a while to help her get situated in the morning. Now she's ambulatory. She walks. She has a walker. She's not quite steady on her feet like she used to be. Like she says, like I was in my 60s. And this morning we had this conversation about how her body reacts to the weather, and she goes, "So many people forget that the nature affects us, even though we're in a house." And she says it must be really, really hot out. And I said, it was yesterday, yes. And I said, it's muggy and warm this morning. When I got up, it was 78 degrees already. And so we talked about that. So thank you for asking, Elise. Technically, she's doing okay. She's doing okay. For 99, she's doing great. And this morning, it was a little bit more, involved with it, but not as much as, say, November, December, January. Those are really painful months for her, especially that shift, that change between the seasons, from fall to winter is really hard on her. And so those mornings, I don't start nothing usually before 10 o'clock when I'm working, to start working on Star Nation stuff. Mom and I start our day 6:30-ish. And by the time we're finished, it's probably close to 9:30-ish. Some days are better than others, obviously, but yeah. The giveaway card, and we'll segue into that, because the giveaway card, the giveaway ceremony, Jamie Sams, I think she did a really great job in explaining what a giveaway ceremony is. And basically it's within the community, about how during ceremonies like naming ceremonies, or if somebody gets an eagle feather, you want to have kind of like bearing witness to something, right? And in those ceremonies, they usually have a meal that everybody shares in the meal, and they also have the giveaway. And the giveaway are gifts. And in those giveaways in modern day, they're actually usually purchased, something small, and they usually have several things, and they give these away to the people who are there for the ceremony. I know that there's up in the northwest of the United States, of Turtle Island, I know the indigenous people up there do something called a potlatch, and or what we call potluck, right? And so the potlatch is very similar to the giveaway ceremony. Now, in the old days, hundreds of years ago, the giveaway ceremony obviously was nothing purchased. You gave something that you cherished, that it was a possession of your own, that you gave away, or something that you made, and you gave it away. So the giveaway in its essence is to give something of yourself that has a value to you. So, and my mom used to always say, always give the very best that you can, whatever it is, just give the best that you can. And that's part of the ceremony, right? That's part of the giveaway. And so you don't want to give something that has been so used that it's worn out, right? And nothing like that. But on the other hand, let me give you an example. When I first moved up here, I had this older gentleman, this elder, contact me about drum making, and I could tell by his accent on the phone that he was Ho-Chunk, right? And so we're talking, and he asked me about it, and I was telling him about it, and I kept saying, you know that I'm the one teaching the class, because in the Ho-Chunk culture, in the traditional culture, women don't touch drums, okay? And I knew he was an elder just by the sound of his voice, and so he says, he says, now I'm looking at your flyer right here in front of me, so I can tell you're a woman. And that's okay. He says, I have been looking for somebody to teach me how to make a drum. This elder was 82 years old when he came to me, right? And he didn't have any money. But he had this drum that he tried to make on his own, and it just wasn't working out. And he says, I know I'm doing something wrong, and I just don't know what it is. And so he brought it over, and I looked at it, and I was explaining how we can take it apart and go again. And so anyway, he wanted to see how a drum is made. And so I made a drum. I had material here that I could make a drum. And so I made the drum, and he watched. And then he went away and he tried to do it on his own. He couldn't do it. And so I ended up taking apart his drum for him and helping him to learn how to relace it, right? So we made his drum. He's 82 years old. I wasn't going to charge this elder to learn how to make a drum. There's no way I would do that. And so, and I gave him tea, and he brought his grandson with him because he was driving, and so, I took care of the grandson, made sure he got something to eat and had something, stuff to drink with. It takes about 3 hours to make a drum, if you're lucky. And and so anyway, what happened is that the drum dried, and he called me, and he was so happy that he had his own drum and that he could sing with his own drum. And so he was just calling me to thank me. And he says, and if it's okay, I'm going to stop over sometime and play you and drum for you, to sing a song. I said, oh, that'd be great. All right. So fast forward, he never showed up, and that's okay. I wasn't really looking for that. But weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks later, I come home, and sitting on my doorstep on the front door is a Walmart bag. But inside the Walmart bag isn't from Walmart. It is a leather punch that had his name on the plastic, cover for it. And in it, he had a note, and he said, I had taken this out. I was going to punch a new hole in my belt, and realized that maybe you could use this more than me, and I'd like to gift this to you. And so he gave it to me, and I still have it. Now, he's walked on a few years ago. I don't know whatever happened to his drum, but that is part of the giveaway. So I gave him something, right? I gave him my time, and also my experience in making the drum, because that's my medicine. That's part of my medicine, right? And so, and I wasn't going to charge an elder. And in turn, he didn't have to do anything for me at all, nothing. But like I said, weeks and weeks later, I get this leather punch, and it was used, but it was, it was the bits were still sharp, and so that's kind of like an example of a giveaway. Now, the thing is that when you give something, according to the ceremony, is that, and I think this is the hard part, is not to have any attachment to the giveaway. So that means that just because you gave something to somebody, they don't owe you anything, which is kind of different, I think, to some other belief systems. That, there's some belief systems when you give something, the other person is expected to give you something back, right? In the more traditional culture belief of the giveaway, that is not a part of it, the gifting back. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to give something to this person ever. It just means that it's not a gift for a gift, that if you brought me something, that I would turn around and make sure you had something before you left. That's not it. And so many people are attached to their gifts that they give. They want to make sure the other person is using it the way they want it to be used. Or in modern day, it's kind of a form of manipulation, that you are so attached to this piece that when you give it to somebody, you want to make sure that they know, they know, that you owe them something, right? Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to check the chat room here. Elise says, yes, being a people pleaser can be painful, but there are many times. Oops, I got to go up. Got to understand this a little bit. Okay. Elise is saying we have 90s and excessive heat warnings for next 8 days. I have psoriatic rheumatoid arthritis. Oh yeah. So I certainly will tell her that you send a hug to her. Oh, Jocelyn's in the house. Hi, Jocelyn. Mary's saying, I still have my broken gel. I know. I ran across that picture a few days ago that you had sent me, and it reminded me of that last message that we sent back and forth. So, that must mean that we're going to see each other soon, huh? That would be nice. That would be nice. Hey, does Carolyn still live up here, near here? Your sister? I was just wondering, maybe, on your way through to see her or something, you could drop it off. The drum off, not your sister. Although saying Carolyn would be good too. Motto is saying, give away our best is something that we don't see as much as we used to. That's right. And the me first world, the true understanding of give away our best seems to be lacking. I know. I hear you. And, for me, what I notice most, and I also monitor my own, is if I'm going to give something to somebody, is it purely coming from my heart, and I don't expect anything, nothing in return. A hug, that's what I usually get. But something of material or something of greater value, no. And Paul and I have talked about that. There were times, and sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. And that's the part that I think is I have to be more aware of it, because looking back to nieces and nephews, and in our culture, they're seen as our children, right? And that giving them things sometimes without them asking, or sometimes when it is money, for that loan that you never see back, is that in the long run, I realize now, looking back, hindsight's 2020, right? Is that some of those gifts really did have an attachment to it, expecting that I would have respect and love because I was doing something for them. And reality is that's not true. That's not true. Just because you give a child, somebody that is close to you, something, does not mean that that you deserve their respect and their love. We shouldn't be expecting anything. And respect comes with, I think, over time and you getting to know them, and your integrity. Does your actions match your words? And that kind of thing. It's not attached to what you give them. Yeah. That was a hard one. It's like, oh God, that must mean I'm human. I'm fallible too. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Yeah, Melissa is agreeing with Motto. Mary is saying, if you expect something back, then it's not a true gift. That's exactly right. Exactly. And Julie is saying, what about regifting in the indigenous culture? Regifting. There's no such thing as regifting. Because once you receive it, it's yours. What you do with it is what you do with it. Now, and there's this old saying about being an Indian giver, right? It has a connotation to it, right? I think that the way Motto explained it, and I have to agree with her, is that it's like a clash of cultures, a misunderstanding between cultures. Is is that from a European sense, is that when you give something, you don't take it back, right? And in some indigenous, not all indigenous, but some indigenous, especially maybe some of the Algonquin speaking nations, may have had in those old ancient days, is that if when they gave somebody something and it wasn't being used, they could take it back and gift it to someone else who could use it. Right. And we don't know what that conversation was like. We don't, that they had an understanding. It was their culture. Because there's a belief that when, especially if it's something that's made, it's a material piece, that the energy, that's our word, or the spirit of the person who made it is embedded into that item. And so if it's not used, it's actually disrespecting the person who made it and also the spirit that's in it, because everything is conscious, right? So taking it back and giving it to somebody who might need it more, who would actually use it, rather than putting it up on, they didn't have shelves, but putting it up on a shelf and not using it. It's collecting dust. And so the way she explained it, the way I understood it, is like there's a clash of understanding and cultures. So if somebody gives you something and they take it back, it was like being rude. It was like you really didn't mean it. How can I trust somebody if they give me something and they take it back? I know. So actually, in my world, there is no regifting, because when you receive something, you receive it, and it's yours to do what you wish with it. So if I have something that I know that someone else would be able to use or enjoy, I would give that to them, right? Not disrespecting the person who gave it to me, because it's a gift. They're not expecting anything back. They're not expecting any of that. I think there's appreciation that goes along with that, though. That you're truly appreciative of the gift that was received, and you've had it for a while, and now you see that someone else could use it and benefit from it, or appreciate it even more, right? And in our culture, you never tell a native that you like something, especially if they're wearing it. Because in the culture that I grew up in, you do that, and what you're doing is you're asking for that piece, whatever that is, that you say, oh, that I really like that. Chances are they'll take it off and they'll hand it to you. And if you don't understand the culture and what's behind that, you get very, I've seen it, you get very, oh my God, that's not what I meant. You misunderstood. I just, it's like, in our culture, it's like, okay, there's certain rings I won't even buy anymore. Because I had given away a pinky ring, the same kind of ring, I don't know how many times, because people would come up to me and say, I really like that. Okay. So I take it off and I give it to them, and it's like, and really what it teaches you is not to be attached to materialistic things. That's what it really teaches you. It teaches you to appreciate and enjoy them, but not to be attached to them. And if you are attached to them, okay, then that's your chance to learn about what that attachment really is about. Is it that attachment underneath it? Is it about scarcity? Is it about if I don't have that, I lose my status? So it helps you to learn about yourself. And there's no right and no wrong. There isn't. It's more about when your gifting is to give it from your heart. And if you can't do that, then you learn from it. And so, and really that's a gift. All right. Elise is saying sometimes it's an acknowledgement that they liked it. Mary's saying, interesting. I had always thought that saying was because the white man had given something to the native and then taken it back, like like their word or land. Well, I suppose there is that. And actually, that had more to do with breaking an agreement, breaking your word. And sometimes it had more to do with theft than a gift. All right, so Elise says, I never re-gift. Well, I think it depends on your culture. It depends on your culture, and I'm not saying that one culture is better than the other. It's just different. It's a different way, another perspective of looking at something. And so if you never re-gift, that's fine. It's fine. But I have to tell you, having elderly parents and having to go through all the stuff and end up having to do something with it, and they've kept something because somebody gave it to them for decades and they never used it. They never, and now, we didn't want it. And so what do you do with it? You end up Goodwill, Salvation Army. We never did the auction thing. And so, or garage sales, yard sales. So this whole thing, sometimes it has to do with clutter clearing. And from a feng shui perspective, if you have something that you're not using, or if you don't love it, that is the definition of clutter. So somebody can't come into your home and say, oh, that's clutter. Oh, that's so cluttered. It's not theirs. They don't know. You might love it. You might be using that stuff. And so that doesn't fit the definition of clutter. See, this is going to morph into something else, isn't it? It already has. And so for those that were just joining us, this is the card that was given to us this morning by Spirit. It's the giveaway ceremony. It's about releasing. And we have, energetically speaking, when something is so full that you can't put anything more into it, because nothing has been released, right? Everything is still contained there. There's no room for anything else. And so how do you accept, or how do you bring in something that you really want? So you have to make room for it, right? And so, and energetically speaking, when energy flows, and it flows through, when it's unencumbered, and the flow is balanced and easy, much more energy can come in and flow through. And so you have this balance of giving and receiving, right? Yeah. That's a whole nother show, and one show that Minnie and I have touched on occasion, and we can always do another one, go a little bit deeper with it. Yep. Let's see. Elisa's saying sharing one thing, but regifting is different. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Stephanie's in the house. Hi, Stephanie. Elisa's saying my great-grandmother was Cherokee. It's in me. Yay. You got the DNA. It's in your blood and your bones, lady. And Stephanie is late, but not absent. Absolutely. Always on the perfect time. Divine timing. This is the card we got. Stephanie, is the giveaway ceremony. It's about releasing. I just want to make sure I hit what I wanted to hit with what Jamie Sams had talked about. The one that was really kind of jumped out at me was is to give without attachment, expecting something for the gift that was given. Like they owe you something, so to speak, Yeah. The other thing that went through my mind when I was contemplating that after I got the card was if you have the expectation that you're owed something because you gave a gift to someone, that means that you have, now this is in our modern day words, jargon, is that there's a cord attached to that. There's a cord attached to that. And so that means that you're energetically connecting in a manipulative way to that other person. Sometimes it's conscious, but many times it's unconscious, not subconscious, unconscious. But if it is subconscious, then that really is something that has bigger medicine attached to it. And what do I mean by that? That means that there's a manipulation of energy. And then we have to think about my true meaning. What was my real intention? At the root of that intent, of that gift, what was my real intention? And if your real intention was to bind that other person to you, or to manipulate some sort of behavior from them, then we're delving into bad medicine stuff. And it's even more so if it's done consciously. If it's done consciously, that is over the top. We got to sit down and talk about what are the repercussions of that conscious decision to do something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into that piece much deeper in July when I do the mini class, the Shamanic Journey mini class over at the Academy closed group. Okay, so if you are not a member of the closed group, please just send me a notice, go in and ask to be invited, and I will get you onto the closed group. Because that is, a whole big discussion, and many times a can of worms. It's like opening Pandora's box a bit. So, we have to look at the cords. And, most generally speaking, when we talk about cutting cords, right, usually we're looking at the cord that's coming toward us or to us from someone else. And we're cutting the cord so that we have, they're not in our energy anymore. Okay, so we're cutting the cord. And if you've never heard that term before, please let me know, and I will put in a more complete answer to that one. But most of us I'm looking at who's in the chat room right now. I believe all of you know what a cutting of the cord is, right? So that is something that Lee says, I love this non-show. Keep it going. I will certainly try. And Lee says, you need to know how awesome you are in this non-show. Oh, thank you. I do appreciate that, too. I do, Elise. Well, I love this thing that we call this non-show now. Because it gives us a chance to actually have this conversation, right? And I love conversations about spirit in a rich way, because we learn so much from each other. Stephanie is saying, can someone send me the link to the closed group, please? I don't think I belong to it. Sure, we can do that. Okay. All right. I'll try to remember to send the link to Stephanie and to Elise. And but Julie, if you're still doing laundry and not making comments, that's okay. But if you're not, and if you're able to, could you put that link to the closed group, maybe in the comment section here? That would be helpful. Otherwise, I will try to remember to do that this afternoon to get that link out. And so, when we're getting back to the cord cutting, that's the piece that we're used to, is that we're cutting cords when it's coming to us. And it usually has to do with a person or a relationship that is not in a good, positive way. There's some negativity attached to it, right? And so we're trying to remove their energy from us, and so we cut those cords. All right. This, what I'm referring to, is when it's coming from us, when it's coming from you to another person. In the form of the gift giving. Okay? Something to really ponder and look within. And this is the part where we're honest with ourselves. You don't have to have the conversation with anybody else but you and your spiritual team. Is ask them, show me, have I ever done that? Have I ever given a gift where my intention was because I wanted to be attached to that person, or that I wanted to manipulate that behavior from that other person, or something like that? And ask them to show you what that is, if you have actually done something like that. And it's a time that you can learn about it, learn about yourself. You can cut the cord. It's like, do your own ceremony even. It's like, that I want to release that. It's done. And cut that cord between you and that other person. You can do that. That's huge soul growth, by the way. Huge. Huge. That's big medicine, they say. All right. I'm looking at the time. We need to talk about the owl, because this might be a good place to do that in. Let me let you know what Jamie Sam says about the application of the giveaway ceremony card. She says the card spells relief through release. Don't get stuck holding on to anything that no longer serves you. That includes other people, ideas, habits, belongings. Attachment to attitudes like needing to be needed or liked may no longer serve. You're being asked to share what you can, give away something that can help someone else, or just let it go. She says that the card tells us to release any bond that makes us captive of our own creation. Remember that generosity is a talent and a virtue that comes from dropping the fear of scarcity and from trusting the great mystery. That's a good one. I like that. The poem. She says, Aho, child of earth, do you know the secret of the giveaway? The more you release, the more you receive. That's the nature's way. Aho, child of earth, do you believe in reaping what you sow? A drop of wisdom will bring the truth, and you will truly know. She's a good poet, that Jeannie Sams. All right, motto saying, giving anonymously and not telling anyone that you have done so is the greatest test of ourselves. If we feel drawn to tell others what we have done, we are attached to the giving. Yes, and it is more about you as the giver than the act of the giving from your heart, because it's not from your heart, it's from your ego, and it's all about you. Yeah. Now I understand with not-for-profit organizations, they, in order to let people know what they do, what they stand for, they have to tell us about stuff, right? There's a fine line, I think. There's a fine line. Here's a soapbox. One of my many soapboxes. When it comes to Native people, especially Native people who live on reservations, right? Or in here in Wisconsin, we have allotted land. They're still federally connected, but they're not called reservations, but technically they still are. Many not-for-profit organizations will go to Native communities to do good work, right? And yet, many times, the funding that they collect as donations goes to pay administrative costs, usually salaries. And yet, the people really don't get much of that. And yet they're used to promote the not-for-profit. I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. So I do my vetting. I do my research of where I donate money to, because money is a symbol of our energy. And so if I'm going to give some of my energy to a not-for-profit, I would like them to be honest and truthful and do what they say they're going to do, right? I don't think that's too much to ask for in that gifting. So I totally agree with you, Motto, is that, that when it comes from your heart, no one else needs to know except the person that you're gifting it to. And sometimes they don't even need to know. Sometimes it's the receiving, and it's like, oh my God, and I just needed that and just came right in time. That's a miracle. Yeah. And it feels good to be a part of that miracle that nobody needs to know anything about, that you were in that creation of that miracle, right? Thank you for saying that, Motto. Really, thank you. Catchy Miigwech, a very large thank you, because I think that says a lot right there. Yeah. Let's get to the owl, okay? So I don't want to keep, it's Saturday. I don't want to keep you guys up for a really, really long time. We're almost pushing an hour here. This is the intention that I have when I draw this particular card is, what animal relative, can help us understand the other card? So how can owl help us understand, use the energy of the giveaway ceremony card and the essence of that card? All right. And you have to love that artwork, but look how the owl is coming in flight, talons out. You know that he is going after a prey, right? He's going after supper or dinner or breakfast. Yep. Okay, the owl. And according to Jamie, the owl is she has the word deception attached to it. Now, you think owl deception? Come on. No. The medicine of the owl, because they can see really, really well in the dark. Their hearing is so acute that it's hard to deceive an owl medicine, because usually the deception is hidden, right? Unseen. And so when you have owl medicine, you can see through the dark. You can see through the deception. You can tell when somebody is lying to you. You can tell when something just isn't quite right. This picture's off somehow, Yeah, that's the owl medicine. And this is what she says about owl. She says, symbolically associated with clairvoyance, astral projection, magic, both black and white. The owl is also known as the night eagle. The owl sometimes will represent the energy of the east because of the illumination, because of being able to see with clarity what's being shown. Okay. Although the owl, she says, is waiting. Let's see what she's saying. Conversely, the night is the owl's friend. Night is the owl's friend. And the thing is that the owl, they have silent flight. Silent flight. It's the way their feathers are. They don't have a smooth edge on their feathers. It's kind of jagged edges. It's silent flight. Their prey doesn't even hear them coming until they get struck. Okay, because the owl has a silent flight, can see really well in the dark, and they have really good hearing too. She says that often the medicine of the owl is the medicine of sorcerers and witches. If owl is your medicine, you will be drawn to magical practices, perhaps exploring the dark arts. There is we're going to get into that. It's the second Thursday of the month that we'll be meeting over at the Closed Group Academy. And I'm going to keep this card out, and we're going to talk a little bit about this guy too, the energy behind it. And different cultures have different symbology meaning of the owl, right? The owl symbolizes wisdom. You always see the owl, sometimes they even have glasses on them, right? That they have a lot of wisdom. And other cultures, people fear them. People fear them because they're messengers, harbingers of death. And that if there's a belief that if they're seen, that they're an omen, a sign that somebody's going to die. Somebody close to you is going to die. Okay. So you can see how that could be very fearful for some people, right? People who have a different understanding of death and life, right? There's in the Ho-Chunk Nation, there's a lot of people who are very fearful of owl medicine. Yes, seen an owl. There's elders in the Lakota that I know that won't even drink out of a cup, a mug that might have an owl picture on it. So it's a cultural belief about what the owl stands for, the symbol of it. Motto saying, love the owl, strong feminine. Yes, because of the dark, right? It's very yin, very yin. And Mary saying moonhawk, yes. When you are studying the medicine of your totems and your power animals, right? And it's good to read stuff about them from a lot of different perspectives. So here's one, because I have owl, but I also have red-tailed hawk, right? And so reading about them, and when you read about them, their characteristics as that species. The great horned owl and the red-tailed hawk share hunting territory, right? So the red-tail hunts during the day, and the great horned owl hunts at night. And so between the two of them, they really protect their hunting territory. And so their energies kind of go hand in hand. And so if you're carrying red-tailed hawk medicine, you might want to take a look at owl medicine and the great horned owl and see, because you're looking at that medicine from the day and from the night. And when you have the two, you have balance and you have wholeness, right? You have a 360 degree That's just a little clue there. So she says that the owl can see that which others cannot, which the essence is of true wisdom. And that's why Athena, when you see Athena, the Greek goddess, she has the owl sitting on her left shoulder. It's because the owl is seeing things that she cannot and tells her about it, right? The owl covers her from her blind side, is what they say, her blind side. Jamie says that if owl is your personal medicine, no one can deceive you about what they're doing, no matter how they try to disguise it or hide it from you. If you're unaware of your medicine power, you may take your keen insights and abilities for granted. And I think that we all are there at some point when we start really taking in consciously our allies, that's our spiritual team, who's on our team, who our power animal are, because you have more than one, who your totems are, and what their medicine brings to you to enhance your gifts that you came in with, okay? And so when we're not really fully aware of it, sometimes what we do is we ignore certain things that occur, and then later we think, oh, that would have been helpful if I would have paid attention to that, right? So she's saying that look deeply, and soon the bright light of dawn will illuminate you. Then ask yourself, what are you in the dark about? Okay. And she says, I like this one. She says, and remember, the owl is always asking who. And the great horned owl, who cooks for you? That's a turkey call. For the startled response, right? Paul has one of those, and practicing who cooks for you? Who cooks for you? All right. So here's what the poem is about the owl. Owl magic, omens, time and space. Does the truth emerge, casting out deception, silent flight? Sacred medicine bird. I like that. So what could the owl medicine help us with the giveaway ceremony, right? I think I had the feeling that it was about that giving with your heart and no strings attached. I think that's what that's about. We get to learn much more about ourselves, looking at it deeper. When we give a gift, and it's a true gift, that we'll be able to know that. We can sense that. Looking at our past behavior in gifting, when either you were unaware of it, unconscious of it, or if it was subconscious, or maybe even those times that it was conscious, that you gave something expecting something in return, whether or not that other person knew it or not. And so we learn from that. We learn from it, and you can rectify it. You can fix that. You can learn from that. Cut that cord that you created, and let it go. I think that's what the owl is about. I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you feel about that? We're going to cover the owl and the other stuff much more deeper. Second Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. So Laura, good morning, Laura. She says, I had a dream last year. Owl grabbed my kitty and flew away. My cat now has cancer. Maybe if I took her to the vet then, she would not be so ill now. That's possible. That's possible. Yeah, that has so many meanings to it, doesn't it, Laura? This is something my mom just said to me this morning, is that, that some people forget that we're a part of nature. Even if we're inside four walls all the time, nature still has effects on us, right? There's that life cycle. And nature, in its truest form, will move that life cycle forward. In other words, it's possible maybe the owl could sense that your kitty was already sick, and so this is something. It's a prey that's weaker, because when if you look at other predators, right? They will select the weakest to go after, because they have to expend less energy to get that food, that energy, and so, or the youngest. So a predator will go after a baby. It will go after the ones that are sick because they don't move as quickly. They'll give up a lot sooner, or they'll go after the elder because they can't move very fast. And sometimes the elder will actually sacrifice their life to let the others get away. So, Laura, there's so many meanings and layers in that. And your kitty really was helping you to learn something from all of that. That's a gift that they were giving to you. And, I really do hope that your cat does pull through, and that you guys can spend many more years together, right? It's hard. It's hard to watch someone that we love go through something, like that, the cancer, and watching them, witnessing it. And sometimes there's very little that we can do to help, other than to be there to love them. Yeah, it's hard. So hugs to you, Laura. Those of us here can certainly send you lots of love and send some love to your kitty. And, love can do a lot, right? Yeah. Aw. Hugs to Laura. Hugs to Laura. And thank you for sharing that, Laura. That's not easy to do. So we appreciate that. Takes some courage to write those things, to share it, and appreciate it. Laura, if you are comfortable with meditation and asking your spiritual team, those that help you from spirit, your teachers, your guides, your power animals, your angels, you can ask them about this. You can find out some information about it, so you have some clarity, and then ask them, okay, so what can I do for, you can name your cat, for their highest good? Is there something? You can contact an animal communicator, help them they can connect to your cat, and get some information from your cat. We happen to have one here at Star Nations. Her name is Leslie Serenesi. I speak to animals.com, I believe, is one of her websites. And she can do long distance. What she usually asks for is a picture. And then you can do it over the phone or Skype or something like that. But I think she's leaving for Montana today. And she is on Facebook. Her name is Leslie Serenesi. Let me put that in there, because that might be something that would be helpful to you. So, here we go. Animal communicator. I could spell. All right. And so, Laura, there's Leslie. All you have to do is click on her name, and I'll take you to her personal page. You can certainly, contact her through here, Facebook, and maybe you can get some help there. Leslie is a sweetheart. She's been writing for us for 4 years for the magazine. I keep wanting her to have her own radio, a live stream show. She's just so busy. I said I'd even produce for her, but maybe one day she will. One day. Oh, and Julie is saying, I have worked with Leslie, very connected to animals. Yeah, she is. She really is. She's a sweetheart too. All right, with that, I've kept you guys long enough. As usual, whatever information, energy that you received through the live stream, take what resonated with you, what felt good, and see how it can help you. Anything that didn't, and you're thinking, I don't know about that. That's okay. Let it go. Don't need that one. Maybe it wasn't meant for you. And then just watch how your day unfolds and how the giving ceremony, the essence of it, comes to you, how it unfolds today for you, whether you're going to witness it, maybe you're a direct participant in it. Either way, you can call on the medicine, the essence of the owl, and to help you understand how the day is unfolding. Yeah. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, with tomorrow's card. And Mary says, have a wonderful day, everyone. You're welcome, Mary. So, Bama Mina, until we see each other again.